Hey everybody, TacticAngel here, back on the PlayStation 5 to take another look at a replay in World of Warships Legends. This time we're going to actually be playing on Trap. We are going to be playing an aircraft carrier of all things, and that is HMS Furious. Now HMS Furious is kind of the high water mark in terms of the Royal Navy aircraft carrier line, and it may actually be one of the best Tier 5 aircraft carriers in the game right now. I will go ahead and put my commander up on the screen. Obviously we don't have any choices in terms of aircraft carrier captains, but we do have a little bit of choice in terms of what we pick on them. I am choosing some AA stuff here. I would probably trade out this first slot all-out AA skill for additional torpedo speed. The other stuff that we've chosen on Boyd is pretty good. You may or may not want to choose a different inspiration, but that's up to you. I personally don't like to let people loiter around my aircraft carrier because I have a very recognizable name and people tend to try to kill me all the time. In any case, we're going to start out the game taking out our torpedo bombers. We can see immediately we've got this Kotovsky that's kind of sailing on its own. We lead the ship pretty well in this case, and that's not going to be universally true throughout this entire replay. This is kind of the replay where everything starts to make sense for me in this particular boat. Now the key to playing Royal Navy carriers pretty well is trying to figure out how to keep your dots or damage over time sticking on a ship, because they really do have the highest damage over time potential, but they do have pretty terrible spike damage. So you're not going to get the big hits like you do usually from American, Japanese, or even German carriers. You're going to have to rely on flooding and fire to really save the day. Now we're flying over A again. We've switched out to carpet bombers because, of course, the carpet bombers are going to allow a little extra time for our torpedo bombers to start to recharge. You do want to have as many planes recharging on deck as possible. We get a little bit trolled by RNG right there as we try to drop some bombs on that destroyer, but thankfully our ally takes him out, and while he's doing that, a couple seconds later we actually finish off the Kotovsky. I'm not exactly sure what caused him to burn his damage con, but he does flood out, so that's pretty good. We start flying our planes towards the California. California is a relatively easy target to hit, at least with carpet bombers, because the reticle is not that much bigger than the actual ship. The only difficulty is actually getting there. Now we'll get one or two planes back from that flight of 4, which isn't too terrible. And after we launch our planes, you can see us adjusting course. Ideally, you do want to keep adjusting course throughout the game, just to make sure that you're kind of going where you want to. It's a good habit to get in. As soon as you launch some planes, check the map, adjust your course, unless it's a situation where you just don't have enough time to do both of those things. Now we are taking all 6 airplanes in here. I would say that this is actually kind of a mistake. This is probably a good situation to pre-drop at least 2 of these so that you're risking no more than 4 planes to get these 2 torpedoes off, because we're not going to stick around and try to turn around and strike a California again. That's just not going to work, and it's pretty much just insane. So we switch back over to our carpet bombers. You can see we've still got a full flight of torpedo bombers on deck, so we're doing all right in terms of planes overall by juggling back and forth between torpedo bombers and dive bombers. We are open to the idea that we might have to strike the California. It is a thing that I don't want to have to do, but it is a thing that I'm willing to do. It is sitting right next to a Leander, and the Leander is also an excellent AA platform, as are most Royal Navy cruisers. So, pretty much suicidal to fly into that, but Royal Navy aircraft are pretty tough. We do manage to land 3 decent hits on him, start a fire, and as we're circling around, we're going to go ahead and try to line up a second shot here. The amount of time that it takes for bombs to drop is around 3 seconds. That's a good thing to realize when you're dropping bombs with Royal Navy carpet bombers. It is not something that I paid a lot of attention to prior to this game, but I think this is the game where everything starts to come together for me. And that actually also goes to the use of torpedoes. Now, your torpedoes with Royal Navy aircraft have a maximum speed of 35 knots. That's a little bit slower than most of the destroyers that you're going to shoot. It's a pretty competitive speed with a lot of cruisers, and it's a bit faster than most of the battleships. We drop a couple of torpedoes there, and you can see that the Leander easily dodges them. We didn't put them quite out far enough in front of him, and if you figure the amount of time that it takes for my torpedoes to get to where I think he's going to be and the amount of time for him to get to where I think he's going to be is relatively similar, it actually sort of makes the math kind of easy in your head as long as you're dropping it at right angles. Those distances should be pretty similar. So one of the things that's really going to help you kind of get a feel for how to play Royal Navy aircraft carriers is just estimating that distance. And it's actually kind of easiest on cruisers because the cruisers have the most similar speed to your actual torpedoes. We do come around with our carpet bombers and manage to finish off that Leander. We have, unfortunately, and as I suspected would probably happen, lost the north cap, which means that though we're doing okay on points, we're not currently winning, and we are also losing tick by tick just a little bit more of this game than we've already lost up to this point. I've still got 4 planes, so I'm searching around just hoping to try to keep some ships out of this actual cap. You can see we're already being shot by AA. This would be a good time to just preemptively start your run. We're going to throw a whole bunch of bombs out there. Not a real well-aimed shot, but we do demonstrate one of the special powers of carriers, which is usually to get people to drive to places they don't want to drive. In this case, it looks like the destroyer missed the cap. There we do manage to get just a little bit of damage. But as long as you're kind of in the area, you can decap people, and that's one of their real strong elements in terms of just map control. And I imagine that's going to translate over to the next season of ranked battles, which I will not be playing for several reasons. Anyway, we're heading back in there, and we're going to see if we can't continue to harass the different ships that are in here. We were kind of hoping it was just the destroyer, but we can see that there is an Italian cruiser also sailing in. This destroyer is not moving a whole lot, so we drop on the man, and we manage 1 hit. I'm going to take a little bit of a loop here. We got a lot of people shooting at us at this point, but none of them have particularly good AA. We drop a not quite fully aimed shot and come away with another 1,700 damage. Now the one nice thing is when you're dropping these particular carpet bombers is, as long as you're aiming in the right area, you do stand a pretty decent chance of hitting something, even a destroyer. Usually it's not more than 1 or 2 times, but you can get lucky, and that makes them extremely powerful. And in terms of decapping, there really is no better option than Royal Navy carpet bombing, at least in terms of destroyers. If you want to do damage to them, then just use Americans, I guess.
Enemy cruiser sunk.
There you can see we're doing a little bit better job in terms of leading the actual ship that we were intending to hit. It was also a little bit slower, which didn't hurt. But we did manage to create that triangle and make it a little bit easier. Next, we're going to launch against this other destroyer, and you can see that I don't aim all the way in. I don't usually aim all the way in when I shoot at a destroyer, because if you do that, then your torpedoes tend to be a little bit too tightly packed, and you make it a little bit too easy to dodge all of the torpedoes. And here you can see an excellent example of that, in addition to the fact that I didn't aim the torpedoes back far enough to actually force him to dodge. Really, the angle's probably just bad there. But anyway, we take off some bombers, and we're going to go ahead and try to harass him again. We know approximately where he's at because we were just there. And do a little bit of zigzag for the flak. Looks like he's starting forward, so we're going to lead him just a little bit. Drop our dive bombers into where we think he's going to turn. Finish him off, and actually, though I haven't announced it yet, we actually managed our 5th kill of the game. At this point, I'm investigating where exactly I think that the carrier is. I think he's over here, probably. But based on where I'm seeing these torpedo bombers appear from, I'm going to go ahead, recall those, immediately launch some torpedo bombers. After that, we're going to almost immediately use some fighters, and we're going to try to defend the amount of hit points that we have left, because the aircraft carrier has shown a not insignificant amount of interest in trying to do damage to me so far, and I am actually the closest ship for him to strike at this point. You can see he is torpedoing me in the background while I kind of sail off into the distance. I get fly off into the distance? Whatever. This is supposed to be a boat game, but we're in aircraft, so whatever. We're flying off looking for him. It appears as though he is nearabouts in the corner of the map, which is probably not the most advantageous place to be, because it's going to take you a long time to get your planes to anybody. I think this guy is probably just trying to preserve his life. So he is backed all the way up into the corner. We are going to line this up with just 4 planes to minimize our losses, and as soon as we have the opportunity, we recall them. We are moving in towards this island for the purposes of both capping, which we've already done, but also minimizing the opportunity for somebody to actually drop torpedoes on us, namely the enemy carrier. It's probably not going to make a big difference at this point because the enemy carrier doesn't have enough time to actually kill more than one of us. He does hit us a couple of times with torpedoes, which is at this point not a big deal. We have pre-dropped a couple of planes so that we don't lose all 6 of them. We earn our clear skies, and at this point, this is just damage. And really, the Royal Navy does this best against other carriers because most carriers don't have armored flight decks, which means that your HE carpet bombs do a lot of damage. They tend to stretch across the entire length of the ship. We just get a ton of damage there, finish off with our high caliber, and there's just a couple seconds left in the match. No reason to really launch another set of aircraft, and we'll go on to finish the game. So there we go. The Furious, one of my best games in this particular ship. I really actually do enjoy this ship in terms of aircraft carriers overall. I do think the line is a little disappointing in general, but this is kind of a little gem stuck right in the middle of the rough. For those of you who don't like aircraft carriers, I mean, I'm for the most part right there with you, but I don't know if you can unring that bell. In any case, I hope you have enjoyed this little replay. Thank you everybody for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.